This episode of United Hour is sponsored by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Lads, it's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. You don't want to use the same trimmer on your face as you're using on your balls. That's just nasty. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their lawn mower has proprietary skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts. Manscaping accidents are finally a thing of the past. Manscaped also has the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing deodorant and moisturiser. You already put deodorant on your armpits, so why aren't you putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? So go over to manscaped.com and you can get 20% off and free shipping from their entire range with the code BIGHEADS. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code BIGHEADS, BIGHEADS. Always use the right tools for the job. Your balls will thank you.
Yeah! The shout now. Well done, Bobby Johnson. Well done, Manchester United. Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has done it! And it's saved it! United again! Ready! A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie!
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm Ed, and it is the second installation of the opposition podcast type thing I've started doing. I did want to get a couple in beforehand, but unfortunately I wasn't able to arrange with a couple of guys, but hopefully we'll look to get a few more out over the course of the season or what we've got left. Tonight I'm joined by Simon, and he is a Spurs fan, so he's been a very good sport coming on because he's literally just watched his team lose to us. So how are you, Simon? You happy?
No, I'm not very happy, I have to be honest, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Good. Well, you know, that's the main thing, isn't it? So how long have you been a Spurs fan?
I think really since I was probably about, 13, that sort of age. I'm thinking sort of, late 80s.
Yeah.
Show my age there, but...
you are,
yeah. Probably that long, I would say. So, wow.
I mean, were they even successful then? I don't know much about Spurs' history.
How dare you? Well, we'd been a little bit successful in the mid-80s, I think we were seen as, a good cup team. I suppose we probably still are, although we haven't won anything for a long time. But, we would have got the odd FA Cup round then. You had the likes of Gary Lineker, Gaza.
Of course.
People like that, starting to come into the team. So you had pretty exciting people in the team, which I think it's what drew me to the team in the first place, because being from Northern Ireland, 99% of football fans support Manchester United or support Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a bit different.
I see.
That's just the way I am. And I chose Spurs, and I've been regretting it for the rest of my life ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people used to call me a plastic fan for supporting United, and I suppose I was born late 80s, and I guess in fairness, part of the reason I did start supporting United was because they were so successful in the 90s. Yeah. But you can't say I'm not a proper fan now.
No, I think you've passed the test of time anyway.
Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to talk about sort of the season so far.
Yeah.
Poch, what happened? Where did it all go wrong? I mean, did you want to see him sacked?
I at the end, I have to say that probably I was not upset to see him go. As difficult as it is for me to say that, because I do genuinely love the guy and I really respect him, and he is undoubtedly the best Spurs manager that I can remember for decades.
What? Better than Harry?
Oh yes. Harry had a good team, but we're talking coaching here and building a team. There's no comparison. But I loved them, and obviously we did really well last season in the Champions League, not so great in the league. This year has just been a disaster. I think really since probably January time, for whatever reason, just it seemed that the team just stopped playing very well, and the heads had gone. You could see they didn't have the concentration, they didn't have the same press and intensity that they had last year, and just clearly there's something wrong, and Pochettino himself seemed not his normal self to me.
No, I think it's fair to say he looked as though he's run out of fuel.
Yeah, it seemed that way, and I was getting more and more frustrated, to be honest, and I was starting to get a bit of vocal about it on some of the forums that I would be on, and I was getting a lot of grief for it, I think, from Spurs fans, because I was probably one of the first people to just put my hand up and say, right, this isn't good enough, we need a change. But having said that, when he did go eventually, actually, I did feel genuinely very sad about it, because I would have loved for him to turn it around, but it just clearly wasn't going to happen.
No.
So, I really wish him all the best in the future. I hope he doesn't go to United. I suspect he might. I think that's a possibility. What I'm hoping is he'll go to Bayern Munich or somewhere like that and do a fantastic job there, and everybody see that actually he can win things, and he is a great manager, because he really deserves that. But unfortunately, it wasn't going to happen with us for whatever reason,
No, and then so Poch is gone.
Yeah,
2 days. Was it 2 days later? Something like that.
It was very quick. Yeah. Mourinho.
The humble one has come in.
He has. Yeah. What a changed man. Although I wonder how tonight's result will maybe change that. I don't know. I mean, again, I maybe was in the minority here, but personally, I really, really was delighted to see Mourinho come in. Yeah, I was. Now, I do think I probably am in the minority, and maybe it's just me, but I have always really liked Mourinho. I've always enjoyed him.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, I have whenever he's not been direct competition.
Yeah.
So I see where you're coming from.
And I suppose that's a good point. Maybe if I was a United fan, I would view it differently, because I suppose although Spurs have been there and thereabouts, we haven't really properly been in it. At the title races and stuff, like against his Chelsea teams or people like that. So I suppose I haven't had that really in the same way maybe you guys have. But I've always really liked him, even when things aren't going well. I enjoy the fact he just becomes this strange figure that just gets really angry and upset and becomes a small child. I just really enjoy all that. It makes me laugh, So, I'm hoping he doesn't become that person, but it inevitably will happen, I'm sure. And you know what? When it happens, I'll enjoy it as well, because I just find it funny.
The guys on the pod were sort of split kind of 50-50. There was those of us who thought this is probably going to, well, I think, me especially, thought it's going to be an absolute disaster for Spurs, because I don't necessarily think you have the players that would fit how Mourinho likes to play. Yeah. And the players that you do have, I think there's going to be personality clashes. And then there's the other guys who think, well, he's the best available manager they could have got in. And I think I agree with that, but I just don't think he's the right man for Spurs.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. And I would say a lot of people probably feel that way. But again, I'm probably in the minority again, and I can only speak for me personally. I think there's a lot of players in this squad as it is that, to me, I think Mourinho will really like. I mean, I'm thinking of obviously Harry Kane. Yeah. Obviously, Dele looks like a different man. He looks fantastic at the minute.
Toby Alderweireld.
Toby, I think, yeah. Although I think he's slightly on the wane, but he's still definitely a Mourinho player. I think he will like Sissoko, even though Sissoko's a pretty limited player. But I think he's got attributes that I should say, that Mourinho will like and will probably make use of. He likes Lucas as well. I mean, Lucas to me is a bit hot and cold. I'm not sure if he's really up for being a starter. But But Mourinho seems to like him. I mean, there's definitely issues in the team that he needs to sort out, and I've no doubt that he will probably do a bit of a clear out and bring in some of his own kind of players. I'm thinking particularly probably in the midfield and defence.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I mean our defence at the minute is terrible, and our midfield. I mean, our midfields. We've got some good players in the squad that you would think would do well, but they can't get into the team at the minute. No. I'm not sure why.
So, I mean, off the back of that, then, what are your hopes for Mourinho and Spurs for the rest of the season?
I mean, I'd love to say top 4, but to be honest, I think it's a bit of a. I mean, we could do it, and hopefully we will. But I doubt we'll do it. To be honest, I think we'll be in the top 6 by the end of the year. I think. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping we might get a cup run in the FA Cup or something like that. I just don't think there's going to be nothing particularly brilliant this year.
No, I think that's where I am with United, to be honest. Same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to the game tonight, and
we have to.
Yeah, we do, because we don't have many positive things to talk about on our side of the pitch. So, I mean, this was Mourinho's first big test for Spurs, wasn't it?
It was.
So, what did he set up any differently against us than he has previously? And do you think he got what he set up for right?
I was a bit disappointed when I saw the lineup tonight, I have to be honest, particularly in central midfield. I think the combination that he chose of Sissoko and Winks, to me, just wasn't right. I mean, he played Dombele in the last game, and I thought he did reasonably well. But we're very, when you play Sissoko in central midfield there, and expect him to, be good on the ball and make passes and keep the game going, it's just not going to happen, And I think Fred had a particularly good game for you guys, I felt, tonight.
Yeah.
And, we allowed him to have a good game. He broke a lot of things up, and we just never got any sort of stranglehold in that midfield. And then that destroyed really our trying to get the ball out to the likes of Lucas or Son, or up to Harry Kane. I mean, Kane, I don't remember him having a single shot all game, and maybe he did.
I don't.
But he really wasn't. I mean, he was coming deep constantly to try and get involved in the game because the midfield were unable to get the ball to him. It was frustrating.
Yeah. So, I mean, I felt that United dominated, apart from Dele Alli's goal, where you put us under some serious pressure for quite a bit of time, and we just didn't get out fast enough to you.
Yeah,
I felt United dominated the game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
I couldn't think of any, apart from the goal you scored. I couldn't think of any sort of shots that tested De Gea at all, or put us under any sort of duress. Really.
Yeah.
Certainly all the first half, and very little in the second half, apart from maybe the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, United were very much in control of the game, particularly in the first half. I mean, you could easily have scored 2 or 3 goals, and I don't think we would have had any complaints. No. So the fact that Ali got such a cracking goal, and we got in at half time at 1-1, I mean, I was delighted, to be honest. And then you come out the second half and you hope that they're going to come out with a different attitude and really take it to United, and it just didn't happen, And again, a big part of that is, I think, how well United played. I mean, I don't think they were particularly great on the ball, but I think, they pressed and harried us very well, and they cut balls out, and they were just a wee bit tighter on the night, and they just didn't let us play. So, have to give credit to them that you did well,
Yeah, and I think we've of the top teams we played so far this season, we've won all but Liverpool so far. I think we got Arsenal and City left to play.
Yeah.
So Do you know, Ollie seems to get it right in the big games, but, you know, we seem to really struggle in the smaller games. Do you think Ollie's the right man to take us forwards? I mean, what with Poch in the wings sort of thing?
I have to be honest. I mean, I like Ollie. He seems like a really nice guy, and but I just can't see him long term being the United manager. I really can't. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe tonight will spark a great run of form, and he'll do really well. But I just don't see it. I can't see it. I think probably he'll get to the end of the season. Yeah, and I think he will either get sacked or they'll move him in some way or something like that and get somebody else in. I just can't see him being in the job next year. I just can't see it.
Well, a couple of the guys think he should just be sort of move. A couple of guys think we should hire Poch, or say Poch is coming in for the next season, and say Ollie, you know, take the pressure off Ollie, and the rest of the season is what it is. I don't know. I can't say it. I love Ollie. He's probably one of my most favourite of all time United players. So I can't do it. I do think probably Poch would, assuming he's got the right man above him in terms of recruitment of players, I think he's probably the better option, realistically.
Yes.
But there's also the romance in me that thinks, you know, I'd really love for this guy who has, you know, spent his entire career pretty much at the club, also being successful as the manager here. And I you know, he gets it right in the big games. It's the lesser games that he doesn't, that seems to be bringing us down. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really on the fence at the moment, and I'd like to see him be back at least in the January transfer to see what can happen. Yeah,
no, I totally get that, and you know, he's obviously a legend of the club. Everybody loves him and respects him. So yeah, I can totally say. I suppose it's the same. You look at Chelsea with Lampard. You know, he'll probably be given more time than anyone else has been given, just because of who he is, and I'm sure it's probably the same with Ollie. Yeah, I would imagine he'll definitely be there in January, and I'm sure they will back him. I mean, Pochettino obviously is available, but I mean, the talk is that there's some sort of clause whenever he left that he has to not take an English club, possibly till the end of the season or something like that. Otherwise, he doesn't get his payoff. That's one of the rumours I've heard. So I don't know if that's true, but
I think he needs a break anyway. So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
I think even if that's true, I think it's irrelevant. So I guess going into the January transfer window, looking at United's squad, where do you think we need to improve most? What areas of the pitch would you say we need to definitely improve?
You know, the thing about United, and it's been like this for a long time for me. When I look at the United team on paper, I'm rarely impressed. I have to be honest. I'm looking at the names and I'm not really thinking, "Wow, that is an absolutely fantastic team." However, nearly every time we play is always tend to play much better than us. It's really frustrating. I mean, I think you've got a real gem in Rashford. I think he's a great player. Fred, he played well tonight, but to be honest, I can't say I've seen a huge amount of him that has impressed me, other than maybe tonight. And even tonight, I think he did well because he broke the game up. And I'm not sure he did anything particularly spectacular on the ball. But at the end of the day, maybe that's not his job, and he's just there to break up the play, you know. And he did that well tonight. I think you need probably a left back.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think your defence. You've got Maguire there. You've got Lindelof. They're okay. I think they're solid enough. Midfield. Pogba's not fit at the minute. I mean, I'm not mad about Pogba anyway, to be honest.
No, he's hot and cold.
And I think you're probably a better team without him, to be honest.
Really? That's a big statement.
Well, it is a big statement, and I'm sure a lot of people would probably be throwing pelters at me for saying that, but I just think he's a guy who plays for himself to me.
Yeah,
And it's all about him. And there's no doubt he's very, very talented. There's no doubt about it. He's great, but he's not a guy I would want to rely on. He's not a guy that I would be building my team around. For me, I just think he'll always let you down.
Yeah, I mean, I've said in the past that we don't necessarily play better without him, but we play differently. And
yes,
that differently is kind of more of a sum of the parts as opposed to Pogba sort of trying to dictate the play and everything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, when Pogba plays, I suppose, understandably, other players look for him. And they'll be looking to try and give him the ball as often as possible, which is fine if he's on form and he's having a great game. But if he's not, which I have to be honest, in my view, is probably more often than not, you're giving the ball to him, you're trying to focus all the play through him, and if he's not up for it, the whole team just suffers. Really on the back of one person, and I don't think that's healthy.
No,
to have
certainly
as
not.
a team. So I mean, Pogba, I'm sure a lot of clubs would love him and would pay a lot of money for him. If I was Ollie, I'd be looking to sell him, I have to be honest, and bring in 2 or 3 very good players. I think that would probably benefit the club more, to be honest. That's my own personal opinion. I think Daniel James looks pretty good. He's had a good start to his career there. He's quick. He obviously can score goals. There's no real huge gaping weak points, I think, in the team. I just think there's definitely more quality could come in, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, we the guys on the pod sit and think Lingard, Pereira, Mata, they're all they're not really good enough for the club. Find us possibly squad players, but
yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't think any of them really should be starting. Really,
no.
I mean, they're great. You need players like that in a squad.
Absolutely.
And I can see why you would keep them. And and Mata, is maybe past his best several years ago, but he obviously is a big influence within the club. And you need people like that. So I could totally get it. But I think your first team probably needs a couple of new players.
Yeah, I think we probably needed a proper striker, like a proper centre forward.
Yeah.
And a proper midfielder. Well, not necessarily a proper midfielder, but another midfielder.
Yeah, I think you need a bit more. Well, I suppose I'm downplaying Pogba, but I was about to say you need more creativity in midfield.
Oh no, absolutely.
He is your creative outlet, I suppose, from midfield. Yeah. And I agree with the striker. I mean, why you sold Lukaku, I have no idea. I mean, I know he was limited in some respects, but he was an out-and-out striker. And I mean, Rashford, I really like Rashford. I think he's really good. But he seems better on the left to me.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, not necessarily. I understand. I think we were right to sell Lukaku. If you look at him for Inter, he's slimmed down his body. He's scoring, but where was that application when he came back for us? Why did it take him so long to slim down his body for us? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's the desire there? And then when he was dropped to the bench because Ollie came in and decided we're going to play this fluid front three, he didn't have the tenacity to keep going and stay at the club to fight for his place back. He wanted to go off to Italy instead, where he knows he'll be a starter. And I sort of question his mentality. I don't think he was good enough all around to deserve to be in the team, first name on the sheet, sort of thing. And
I mean, I think that's fair enough, and I totally get what you're saying. I suppose what I mean is that when you sold him, you should have had a replacement.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with that completely. That and we're paying most of Sanchez's wages at the moment. We should have kept him on for a bit longer. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, I suppose maybe, I don't know, that was one of the worst signings I can remember any team making in the last 10 years. That was abysmal. But it happens, and you can't predict these things. But my goodness, what a stinker! I don't know. I mean, maybe he was just stinking the place up, behind the scenes as well. You just don't know. Yeah. He didn't seem happy.
No, that's true.
And I'd imagine he was making everyone else miserable just looking at him. So maybe it's better for everyone just to get him out of there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I guess we'll sort of look at finishing up. So where do you think United are going to end up towards the end of this season? Then what's your?
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, I think they're similar to Spurs. I think you're looking probably top 6.
Yeah.
Leicester are flying at the minute. Chelsea, surprisingly, are actually doing really well.
I know. Who saw that coming?
I know. I certainly didn't. Arsenal are absolutely fantastically awful, which is great.
Yes.
But they've still got some very talented players on that team, so they could turn it around if they get a new manager, and who knows. I just think I know we're still early days in the season, and there's plenty more games to come, but you can just see the way it's going at the minute, and I think Spurs and United will probably be right next to each other in the league come the end, and we could be 5th or 6th, we could be 4th or 5th.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of where it's going to be, and I couldn't honestly tell you who I think is going to be above the other team. I really don't know, because I think both of us, with us, it's a confidence issue. I think with us, I think we had lost so much confidence in ourselves over the last year. It's going to take a long time for us to recover from that, and I think we saw it a bit tonight. We just didn't have the spark, or we didn't look like we really believed that we could turn it around, to be honest.
No. Yeah.
And that was really disappointing, because I'd kind of hoped with Mourinho coming in, he might have been able to sort that, but it's still early days, But
I suppose one of your best players for the last few seasons has been Christian Eriksen, and it seems pretty likely that he wants out, regardless of who's the manager now.
That's very true. He has been. He's been absolutely terrible for about a year. But yeah, up until then, he's by far the most important player in our team. So that has been a huge loss. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you for where I think we're both going to end up. Really, the optimist in me thinks we might just nick 4th, but you never, at the moment, every time it seems a team around us that we're in direct competition for that 4th or 5th position slips up, we do the exact same thing against a lesser team. So it's just hard to predict, and I think by the by we're probably going to end up. I doubt we'll end up top 4. We might win the Europa League though. So
yeah, who knows? You have more chance of winning that than we have for the Champions League, I'd say.
Yeah,
but you never know. We're still there.
No. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, no problem. It's been great. Thanks very much.
Yeah, hopefully we'll do another one after the next league game. This was the first game, wasn't it?
This was the first one. Yeah.
So we'll maybe do a recap after the next game. See how our fortunes went over the course of the season, and who's the happier at the end.
Yeah, that'll be great. No problem.
All right, cool. Thank you, Simon. So that's good night from me.
Thanks very much, Ed. All the best.
No problem. Thank you.